Picture two people. Same age, same city, same salary, same 401k contribution rate. 5 years later, one of them has paid off debt, built an emergency fund, and feels, for the first time, like money is working for them. The other one is still stuck. Not because of a crisis, not because of bad luck, just the same quiet financial anxiety, wearing slightly different clothes. Same math, completely different results. Have you ever looked at someone who doesn't earn dramatically more than you? No trust fund, no lucky investment, and thought, how are they so far ahead? The answer isn't about finding the right index fund. It isn't about cutting expenses. And it definitely isn't about working harder. Here's what most financial content gets completely wrong. It treats money as a math problem. And the math is real. Compound interest works. Diversification works. Living below your means works. But the math doesn't explain why 70% of lottery winners end up broke within 5 years. These people received millions and still returned to their previous financial level within half a decade. The money didn't change the outcome. Something else did. That something else is what this video is about. There's a layer beneath the numbers, a set of behaviors and invisible rules that determine what you actually do with money when the moment arrives, when the market drops, when the bonus hits, when pressure pulls you in the wrong direction. Call it the soft skill of wealth. Your relationship with money matters more than your knowledge of money. The way you behave around financial decisions, under pressure, under uncertainty, will always outweigh whatever spreadsheet you built on a Sunday afternoon. But before we get there, I need to show you how we ended up in a world where everyone has access to more financial information than ever before, and yet the average person is more financially anxious than at any point in modern history. That paradox is where this story begins. For most of modern history, financial education had one job: teach people the mechanics, how interest works, how mortgages are structured, how to balance a budget. This made sense in a simpler economy, where most people worked for one employer their entire career and the biggest financial decision of their life was whether to buy a house. Know the math, make the right decisions. That was the entire model. Then everything changed. Starting in the 1970s, two psychologists, Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky, began publishing research that would win Kahneman a Nobel Prize and permanently alter how we understand human decision-making. What they found was devastating to the traditional model. Humans don't make financial decisions rationally. We make them emotionally, and then construct rational explanations afterward to make ourselves feel like we were in control the whole time. We overweight recent events. We feel losses twice as intensely as equivalent gains. We make completely different choices depending on how a question is framed, even when the mathematical outcome is identical. This wasn't a flaw of intelligence. It was the architecture of the human brain, optimized for immediate survival, now being asked to make multi-decade probabilistic calculations about abstract financial instruments. The brain that kept your ancestors alive by reacting fast to danger is the same brain deciding whether to rebalance your portfolio during a market correction. That mismatch is the root of almost every financial mistake you've ever made. Now here's where the paradox sharpens. Over the past 30 years, financial content has exploded. Books, podcasts, YouTube channels, apps, more accessible than ever. And yet the U.S. personal savings rate hit 2.4% in 2022, the lowest since the 2005 pre-crisis period. Consumer debt crossed $17 trillion for the first time in history in 2023. More knowledge, worse outcomes. If information alone worked, we would all be wealthy by now. The answer isn't that people are stupid. It's that we've been trying to solve a behavioral problem with informational solutions, like handing someone a perfect map, without acknowledging that they're afraid of the terrain, that everyone around them is going a different direction, and that the last time they tried to navigate somewhere new, it didn't go well. The map is necessary, but it was never sufficient. The first invisible rule of wealth has nothing to do with your income. It has to do with your identity. Specifically, the story you carry, quietly, mostly unconsciously, about what kind of person you are with money. Whether you're someone who is good with money or someone who has never been able to save. Whether wealth feels like something that belongs to you or something that belongs to other kinds of people. This might sound abstract. It isn't. Morgan Housel in The Psychology of Money makes an observation that stopped me cold. Your financial behavior is shaped more by when and where you grew up than by any financial information you've received as an adult. Someone who came of age during the 2008 financial crisis has a fundamentally different relationship with risk than someone who entered adulthood during a decade of market growth. Not because one is smarter, because the experience was different. And experience writes deeper than information. Your financial identity was largely installed before you were old enough to question it. Here's why that matters in practice. Someone receives a $15,000 raise. Real money. A genuine opportunity to accelerate savings or start investing seriously. What happens? Within 12 to 18 months, their lifestyle has expanded to absorb it entirely. A nicer apartment, a better car, dining out more. Nothing extravagant, just a gradual, almost invisible expansion of spending to match the new income level. Most people call this lifestyle inflation. But that's not quite the right frame, it's recalibration. The person's internal financial identity, their deep, largely unconscious sense of what's normal for someone like them, adjusted to the new number. And then they spent accordingly. Not out of weakness, out of alignment. They were simply living in a way that matched who they believed they were. Think of it like a thermostat. Your home's temperature can spike or drop, but the thermostat always pulls it back toward the set point. Your financial identity works exactly the same way. Income can rise, windfalls can arrive, but if your internal set point hasn't shifted, you will spend, lose, or give away until you return to baseline. This is the real reason lottery winners go broke. Not irresponsibility, not bad luck. Identity. They received millionaire money while carrying a completely different financial identity. The mismatch was unsustainable. So the money disappeared, often in ways that felt completely logical at the time. Now here's the question that makes most people uncomfortable. Where did your financial set point come from? For most people, it came from childhood. From watching how the adults in your life talked about money or refused to talk about it. From what your family's financial situation felt like emotionally, not just practically. From the first messages you absorbed about whether people like you end up wealthy, or whether wealth was something that happened to other kinds of people. None of this is destiny. Identity isn't fixed, we'll get to that. But it is the starting point, and you can't change a set point you haven't identified. The people who build wealth consistently, not through a single lucky event but through sustained compounding behavior over years, share one thing that has nothing to do with mathematical knowledge. They act like the version of themselves they're trying to become before they have the numbers to justify it. They save before they feel financially secure enough to save. They invest before they feel knowledgeable enough to invest. They decline spending that contradicts their financial identity before peer pressure makes it awkward. They practice the identity in advance. But here's the first real obstacle. Changing an identity, even one that isn't serving you, is one of the hardest things a human being can do. Not because people are weak, but because your current identity is reinforced every single day by the environment around you, which is exactly what makes the next layer so much harder to accept. Here's where this gets uncomfortable. The soft skill of wealth isn't just psychological. It isn't just internal. It isn't something you can fix by reading the right books or having a single moment of self-awareness. Because the invisible rules of money aren't just inside you. They're around you. A Harvard study tracked 12,000 people across 32 years and found something that should make every person between 25 and 45 stop and think carefully about their social circle. Your net worth is strongly correlated with the average net worth of your 5 closest contacts. Not your education level, not your industry, not your raw intelligence or work ethic. At least not independently. The single most predictive variable for your financial trajectory, outside of your own behavior, is the financial behavior of the people you spend the most time with. Why? Because spending norms are contagious. Risk tolerance is contagious. Ambition ceilings, the invisible upper limit of what feels possible for someone like you, are contagious. When everyone in your social world finances their vacation on a credit card, that feels normal. When everyone around you thinks investing is for people who know what they're doing, not investing feels like common sense. This is called financial contagion, and it operates almost entirely below conscious awareness. Nobody sits you down and says, "Spend more than you can afford to keep up with us." It happens through 1,000 small moments. The joke made when you decline an expensive dinner. The subtle pressure to participate in financial behaviors that contradict your goals simply because everyone else is. And the people exerting this pressure are often the people you love most. Family, old friends, a partner who grew up in a household with a different financial identity. People who aren't trying to hold you back. People who love you. Think about the person who got a promotion and still feels broke. The entrepreneur who keeps discounting her prices even when demand is strong. The investor who cashes out every time the market dips, not because of strategy, but because everyone around him is panicking. These aren't failures of knowledge. Every one of these people could pass a personal finance exam. They are failures of environment. So here's the question. Block 3 couldn't answer. If identity drives behavior and environment reinforces identity, what do you actually change first? Because here's what makes this genuinely complicated. You can't fully change your financial identity in isolation. Change the set point without changing the ecosystem, and the ecosystem pulls you back. The answer lives in the next layer. Once you see the identity-environment loop clearly, you start noticing it everywhere, and the implications are larger than they first appear. It's not just your 5 closest friends. The financial contagion runs through everything. The media you consume, the social feeds you scroll through every morning before you're fully awake, the neighborhood you live in, the conversations you allow, and the ones you've been avoiding for months. The financial behaviors you witness daily and absorb as normal, regardless of whether they're serving anyone well. Every single one of these is an input, and those inputs are shaping your financial defaults right now, whether you're paying attention or not. Which brings us to the second invisible rule: tolerance for discomfort. Building real, sustained wealth requires you to act under uncertainty, to make decisions before you feel ready, to stay in positions that are uncomfortable, to delay gratification, not once in a grand heroic gesture, but repeatedly, quietly, in moments that feel small, but aren't. And modern life has been engineered, deliberately, precisely, to help you escape discomfort the moment it arrives. You feel financial anxiety. There's something to buy that will temporarily relieve it. You feel uncertain about an investment. There's a podcast, an article, a YouTube video that gives you the feeling of preparation without requiring you to actually decide anything. You feel the pull to spend impulsively. The one-click purchase removes every moment of friction that might have saved you. Behavioral economists have measured exactly how much this costs us. Humans discount future rewards at a rate of up to 40% per year, meaning your brain, on a neurological level, treats a $10,000 gain 1 year from now as roughly equivalent to $6,000 today. The future is real in your rational mind, but it's blurry to your instincts. And your instincts are the ones making the decision in the moment. Now connect this directly to your own life. Think about the last investment decision you avoided making because you didn't feel ready. Not because the opportunity wasn't there, because you didn't feel informed enough, confident enough, certain enough. How long have you been getting ready to make that decision? 6 months? A year? 2 years? Think about the conversation about money you've been postponing, with a partner, with a parent, with yourself. The one that would require admitting something uncomfortable. The one where you'd have to look honestly at a number you'd rather not see. Think about the last time you made a purchase you didn't really need. Not because you lost control, but because something felt stressful, and the purchase offered a few hours of relief. A momentary reset, a brief feeling of being in control of something small, because the big things felt out of reach. That's not a character flaw. That's biology meeting bad architecture. And here's the moment this entire video has been building toward. You don't lack information. You don't lack intelligence. You don't even lack discipline. You show enormous discipline in every area of your life where the immediate and future costs are clearly visible. The reason you're stuck isn't a knowledge gap. It's that the discomfort of acting on what you already know is greater than the discomfort of staying exactly where you are. And your environment, your social world, your media diet, your daily surroundings, has been continuously reinforcing that equation without you ever consciously agreeing to it. The internal thermostat, the social contagion, the discomfort avoidance loop. 3 mechanisms, working together, reinforcing each other, operating almost entirely outside the reach of financial information. No spreadsheet fixes this. No budget app fixes this alone. But something does. This is where the third invisible rule comes in. It's called decision architecture. Instead of relying on willpower to make the right financial choices, which fails under stress, under social pressure, under daily fatigue, you redesign your environment so that the right behavior becomes the default. You make the good choice the easy choice. Shlomo Benartzi, a behavioral economist at UCLA, ran a program called Save More Tomorrow. Instead of asking people to save more now, triggering immediate discomfort, he asked them to commit to automatically increasing their savings rate whenever they received a future raise. No immediate sacrifice. The result? Retirement savings rates increased by 300%. Not because anyone became more disciplined, because the architecture of the decision changed. The friction moved from saving to not saving. 300%. This is what decision architecture looks like in practice. Automating your savings transfer before your paycheck touches your checking account, so the money is never available to spend. Investment contributions that increase automatically. A 48-hour rule for purchases above a certain threshold. But decision architecture isn't only financial mechanics. It applies to your environment too. You can't always choose who's in your life, but you can choose what financial conversations you invite. You can add people, even at the edges, as acquaintances or mentors, who normalize the financial behaviors you're trying to build. You can expose yourself regularly and deliberately to evidence that the identity you're moving toward is real and achievable. Your financial identity doesn't update through logic. It updates through exposure. Through seeing repeatedly that people you respect do the things you're trying to do. Over time, those behaviors stop feeling exceptional and start feeling normal. And when they feel normal, the discomfort drops. And when the discomfort drops, the behavior sustains. That's the loop working in your favor. I want to be honest about something. Everything we covered is one layer of a much larger topic. Intergenerational financial patterns, time orientation, risk identity. These are full chapters we didn't have time to explore. What this video gave you is the frame. The 3 invisible rules, identity, environment, discomfort tolerance, and the one mechanism that can start shifting all 3 simultaneously. The rest of the work is yours. Wealth isn't what you know about money. It's what you do when money makes you uncomfortable. Everything in this video leads back to that sentence. The math of wealth is learnable in an afternoon. The behavior of wealth takes years, not because you're slow, but because you're human. And humans change through environment and repetition, not through information alone. Here's the one thing I'd ask you to do before you close this video. Not a budget, not a new app. Pick one financial behavior you've been avoiding and change the architecture around it. Automate something. Create friction somewhere. Add one input to your environment that normalizes the identity you're building. Just one. This week. The distance between who you are financially and who you want to be isn't made of information. It's made of small, repeated moments where the default pulls you in the wrong direction. Change the default. The moments follow. If this gave you a different way of looking at your financial behavior, not just what to do but why you do what you do, the next video goes one layer deeper. It covers how the financial patterns from your childhood are still running in the background of every major money decision you make today, and what it actually takes to rewrite them. That video is already here, linked above. Thank you for watching, genuinely.